Welcome to the Redskins Offseason Special presented by Bud Light Seltzer. I'm Larry Michael at Redskins Park. We've got a action-packed hour for you coming your way from Redskins Park tonight, so let's get started. Joining me off the top is the playmaker D'Angelo Hall. The greatest to ever wear the burgundy and gold. And D. Hall, outside of training, good thing we moved the show inside.
Absolutely. I don't know how we would have made it outside.
So what are your thoughts so far with this Ron Rivera regime? I know you're a fan of good defense. Jack Del Rio, we talked a little bit before we started. You like his attitude. What are some of the challenges for this team this year?
You know, I'm excited. I'm excited to watch Ron Rivera and this football team go at it. You spoke about Jack Del Rio. I'm excited because I don't think any one of those coaches have had the kind of talent on defense that this Redskins roster has. And so it's going to be interesting going from a 3-4 to a 4-3 to see kind of how guys plug and play in different positions. Ryan Kerrigan, in his 9 years, he's never played with his hand in the dirt consistently. And so how does he attack guys in the run game? Chase Young, a guy who's always had his hand in the dirt. Will you back him up possibly? So it's so many different interchangeable guys. You think about all those guys across that defensive line, Matt Ioannidis, Dewan Payne, Jonathan Allen. This is a good problem to have for this Redskins roster, and I'm excited to see kind of what happens in this 4-3.
NFL has mandated all 32 NFL teams have the off-season training camp, I should say training camp, at their home facilities. So the fields behind us here at Redskins Park will be occupied come sometime the end of July. For a first-year coaching staff, how tough is this training camp going to be?
Oh, it's going to be extremely tough. You talk about just having the virtual offseason, so you haven't had a chance to have OTAs and mini camps. And because this is a new regime, you would have already had, I think, 2 mini camps by this point already. And so, you know, a lot of players are visual learners, meaning you get it in the classroom, on the board, you get to see it. But a lot of guys are learners where you have to physically do it. That's what the great thing about the NFL is. You get a chance to install it in the classroom, walk through it a lot of times because that's what teams do. And then later in the day in practice, you'll actually run as fast as you can against live competition. No one's been able to do that. And so it's going to really be interesting. That's why anytime I talk about what teams have a chance to succeed, it's always the teams that staff is already in place and that system is already in place. Now, this Redskins team is a little bit different because I think they're going to live and breathe with defense. You think about that 2015 Carolina Panthers team that went all the way to the Super Bowl. That defense carried that team. Yes, they had Cam Newton up being the NFL's MVP, but they had a steady dose of the run game. And Cam was able to use his legs as well as take those shots downfield. And so I'm excited to watch the development of Dwayne Haskins in this offense.
It is our pleasure to welcome in Kay Adams of NFL Network. Kay, thank you so much for being part of our show. I know you're anticipating training camp like everybody else. What are your thoughts on this virtual off-season program that happened around the National Football League and some of the challenges for every NFL team in the training camp?
Well, Larry, I'm having a little trouble hearing you, so that's just an indication of how messy and how much adversity can be faced in any virtual situation. So these teams are definitely going through it. We had the opportunity to talk to Ron Rivera on Good Morning Football. I know he'll be joining us shortly, as will Kendall Fuller and Thomas Davis. Lots of studs joining us from the Redskins for all of you fans. To me, from a national perspective, I feel like I have the unique privilege of seeing what every team is going through. And the excitement, is the word that you guys have mentioned already 10 or 15 times, is exactly what describes the NFC East. I think we're talking about the division more than we ever did before because there's this optimism that it can be anybody's division there in the NFC East. So much excitement with the D-line. To echo quickly D'Angelo Hall sentiments, I think that Montez Sweat, 7 sacks last year, is only going to be helped, obviously, by Chase Young being there, the stud, taken there early in the first round. Those two, to me, from what I have seen from both of them, have that raw talent to have the ceiling of a DeMarcus Ware Von Miller. I don't think it's crazy to say that, D'Angelo. It's high praise, and they haven't done it on the field yet, but they have that potential.
Oh, no, absolutely. When you sing the praises of a guy like Von Miller, and you put those guys in that category, they absolutely have every bit of raw talent and athleticism and speed and strength to be those kind of players. It's how do they get put in this defense? How does this defense complement what they do very well? You spoke about Montez Sweat and those 7 sacks last year. And then you think about the D tackle, Matt Ioannidis, he had 8.5. Jonathan Allen had 6.5. Dewan Payne had a little bit of a down year with 2. But I'm hearing he's probably the most athletic out of all of those guys up front. And so It's going to be very interesting because as a DB, I always say you win games with your front D line and the offensive line. You got to control the line of scrimmages. And so this Redskins team is going to be able to control the line of scrimmage, especially on the defensive side of the football.
He's thinking comeback. He's thinking like he's coming back.
I'm looking over there because you're right beside me. I might notice.
What do you think of Dwayne Haskins going into year 2, Kay? He's put a lot of time during this offseason to get his body in shape, and he's put a lot of time with his wide receivers, his teammates. So what are your thoughts for him going to year 2?
I mean, we saw some rookie mistakes, which were expected, of course, some turnovers, some poor decision making. In my eyes, I thought that he got better as the opportunities came and as the season went along. And there needs to be order and culture from the top. That's what a coach like Ron Rivera does. That's why I consider him to be the best fit in a division that has so much turnover and upheaval. 3 new head coaches. I would pick Ron Rivera to lead whatever team I was on. If I was a player, a veteran, bringing in Thomas Davis is only going to help establish that as well. On the defensive side, you want to be able to let them go do their thing. And the only way you can do that is to limit those turnovers. So I'm curious to ask Ron Rivera, Larry, what's the one thing that he's seen in those virtual meetups where they're watching film? I'm sure, D'Angelo Hall, you tell me, have they watched every snap that Dwayne Haskins has taken last year and chewed through it and figured it out? And then what they can do, what coach can do, and what the team can do to protect him out there?
Yeah, I think any staff who comes in has to look at every piece of film, especially when you talk about the quarterback position. You know, Dwayne Haskins was put in a very, very difficult situation where he has a coach who's really fighting for his job in Jay Gruden, right? And you draft a young quarterback, and Jay's like, man, look, I got to go with the guy who has the opportunity to get me wins right now. And so they didn't develop Dwayne Haskins. And then you see Callahan come in and try to throw Dwayne out there. And you saw Dwayne do some things good. Like you said, Kay, he's a rookie, though. So he went through his learning curve. He took his bumps and bruises. But the thing about it, he's not going back to an offense he knows. He's going to an offense that's totally new to him once again. And so he has to really, really hone in on what he needs to do to be successful, understanding the defenses, and then really just going back to just, marrying what he does well with what the coaches are trying to do, I think really will maximize his success. You see a lot of coaches are just dead set on doing what they do well. But you see the really, really good coaches, they find a way to find what that player does well and kind of intertwine the two. And when you can do that, you can you can come out with a really, really good offense that can make plays.
Kay, you said a moment ago that you'd love to be able to ask Ron Rivera a question. You know what? You're going to be able to ask Ron Rivera a question because Ron Rivera's coming up next on the show. Also got Kendall Fuller, Thomas Davis Sr. We got the playmaker, D'Angelo Hall's perspective. Also, B. Mitch, Brian Mitchell's going to stop by. His thoughts on what lies ahead for the Redskins. And this is the offseason special presented by Bud Light Seltzer. In a minute, Ron Rivera. Don't go away. All right, we are back. The Redskins Offseason Special presented by the great folks at Bud Light Seltzer. Larry Michael, D. Hall, Kay Adams, and now joined by the head coach of the Washington Redskins, comfortable at his home, Mr. Ron Rivera. Coach, how are you tonight?
Doing great, Larry. Really appreciate this.
Hey, take it away.
Yeah, we were talking in the commercial break about your dog Tahoe, who's at your side loyally as always. Happy belated Father's Day to you, of course. Let's warm you up with the word excitement. It's one that we've been throwing around already early in the show. What is the one thing, as you stand here in your process of getting this team ready, this team you have not been face to face with, what is the one thing you're most excited looking ahead to training camp?
Well, honestly, it's really just seeing the team on the field. I mean, we've had an opportunity to see them all on Zoom. We haven't had a really chance to see them run around and do the things that, we're training them to do. But I'm excited about seeing those guys on the field. I am excited about what we've done with the defensive line. I look forward to seeing those guys. I like the youth that we have at wide receiver. I think these young guys give us an opportunity to make some plays, create some opportunities. And I'm curious to watch Dwayne. Dwayne's had a very busy offseason, doing a lot of good, hard work. He's really been focused, making a great commitment. I thought he's done a nice job in the Zoom meetings, as have all the quarterbacks. But I'm excited to see him as well. So this should be fun.
So, Coach, when you're going through tape with Dwayne Haskins, virtually, of course, and you're going through it with him, what's the one thing that you are already confident will improve or can improve in 2020?
Well, I think his decision making. One of the things that you really liked about his development in those last 5 or 6 games that he played is you watch the improvement week by week. You saw the decisions start to come a little bit easier. And one thing that I really did appreciate, though, was when he got into the 2-minute situations, when he limited his thinking and really reacted to what he saw, he played faster. So that's one of the things that we want to see him do is play faster, make quicker decisions.
Really quick, the thing I'm most excited for probably is Chase Young, and he dropped, you haven't seen him out on the field. We saw the hype video that he dropped on Twitter the other day. He's calling himself the Predator. We know that he wrecked shop in college. What sets him apart from other pass rushing prospects? You've been around a lot of them over the years, and he's getting those comparisons to Julius Peppers, who you coached. Is that comparison fair from what you can see?
Yes and no. He's not quite as big as Julius was. He's built like him. He's a mini version of him. He's got a little bit more, I think, of that initial explosion. Julius was very long, and his explosion was good, but because of his length, it seemed even better than it really truly was. I mean, Julius was phenomenal, and really, this is a young man that can be that type of player. Von Miller comes to my mind when I watch Chase and I watch him work out and I watch the tapes that he's been putting out. So I'm pretty excited about seeing him.
Coach, you had a quarterback in Dwayne Haskins last year. You didn't get a chance to start the season. As soon as you were signed by the Redskins as head coach, you talked about Dwayne needing to step up. And during the offseason, as you have said, he's put a lot of work in. Have you been impressed with what he's done during the offseason? And also, the competition at running back to me is going to be fierce when camp finally starts here at Redskins Park.
Well, it will be. I'm pretty excited about, again, the commitment that Dwayne is making. One thing that he and I we talk at least once, twice a week. We talk about the leadership stuff. We talk about maturing and really getting a handle and controlling things. And he's done a nice job with that. He's led some of the workouts that the guys have gotten together to do, which has been really pleasing. But, he's still a young man, came out early, so he's still got a lot of growing to do. And he's kind of grasped that, and he's realized that, and he's working on it. The running back position, I love the fact that we feel like we've got a good mix there. We've got a good group of guys that, we come out of it. We should have 4 or 5 guys that have specific skill sets with not really necessarily one guy being able to do everything perfect, but doing a number of things very well.
The Hall thinks he's making a comeback because you're front.
Well, I heard him talk about it earlier, and D'll tell you, one of the best friends that a defensive back can have is a pass rush.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Coach, my question, do you think this is probably the best front you've had? I go back and I look at that Carolina team back in 2015, and what was so amazing about that defense is, yes, you had Thomas Davis. Yes, you had Luke Kuechly. But you really start rattling off the rest of the names. They were just guys who made plays, who did what you asked them to do. Now you have a lot of guys with names. How do you think that will weigh guys playing time, making plays versus being selfless and being about the team first?
And that's exactly what you need, is guys that are selfless, that are all about the team. And you brought it up earlier. You mentioned the 3 deep interior guys that the 4 interior guys that really had good years last year. And really, the one guy that played just good was just Ron. I mean, here's a guy that, he can be an explosive, dynamic guy. We know what kind of player he is. And we know what Matt Ioannidis is. We know what Tim Settle is, and Jonathan Allen. Those 4 guys give you that interior push. And like you talked about, when I was in Carolina in 2015, the biggest reason we had the success we had was the interior push. The quarterback couldn't step out of the way. So, again, we feel good about those 4 defensive tackles that we have right now that are slated to be our depth in terms of our ones and our twos. And those 4 guys are going to allow the speed on the outside to make plays for us. That's what's so exciting about watching those young guys with the speed on the outside. It's really the push from the inside.
Coach, last thing from Redskins Park. You've mentioned to me previously that previous experience for you where you didn't get a chance to meet your team because of a strike-shortened season, didn't meet them until a couple weeks before the season. We really don't know all the details of training camp. It's going to be home here at Redskins Park. How much are you looking forward to seeing these guys on the grass?
Well, I'm so excited about that, Larry. I mean, and again, just to clarify, my first year as the head coach, I didn't talk to the team until the day we opened camp. And it's going to be the same situation until the day we open camp. I'll get an opportunity to speak in person. Now, I did it over Zoom. I thought it went pretty well. I really didn't like the attitude of doing it on Zoom, though, because you don't get a feel, you don't get that energy, that's why I'm excited about getting in front of our football team.
We're excited to see you on the field, Coach. I know you've been chomping at the bit to get out there. We thank you for joining us tonight.
Cool. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Coach Ron Rivera, head coach of the Redskins. And a couple of reminders, folks. Bud Light Seltzer. It's an outstanding beverage brought to you by the great folks at Anheuser-Busch. Bud Light Seltzer, unquestionably good. And our official cyber protection partner, Acronis, is keeping us #CyberFit and protecting our data, applications, and systems. Acronis keeps us in play and off the field all season long. We'll be back in a minute with Thomas Davis Sr. on the offseason special brought to you by Bud Light Seltzer.
Hi guys, my name is Malcolm Blacken. I am the Senior Director of Player Development for the Washington Redskins. Ron Rivera is the head coach on the field. I get described as the head coach, me and my staff as the head coaches off the field. We do all rookie onboarding off the field. We help the young guys get up to speed with all the rules, all that's set forth by the new CBA, different things. We've got courses such as time management, financial educations, things of that nature. There's a couple things though. Always be on time, man, 1. 2, if you have an issue, let me know. We do not wait till the last minute in the NFL. We don't do that here. This is a business that you belong to now, that you're a part of now. You have to invest in yourself now. Whatever the case may be, we're just trying to make it very important to the rookies that this information that you're receiving is so important. You don't want to miss something, because if you miss something, it could cost you. It could cost you games, it could cost you, it could be a financial penalty, things like that, and we don't want that to happen. Does everybody see this screen I'm on now?
Yeah.
Members of the NFL are public figures. Right? Everybody see that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is in your best interest to maintain a positive image in the media, and to build a brand that fans will support and root for. I know y'all can run, catch, and tackle. Great. But we're going to try to help you and put some people in your life that's going to help you grow as a young man. So you can, again, grow and make this a stepping stone, because you're going to play football for a small window of your life, man. Small window. So you got a lot of living to do one day when you hang them up, and we want to make sure that you're prepared for that space also. Remember what you did today, and the next time we do this on Friday, because we got a PR presentation where some people, I got to introduce the community relationships people to you. PR is going to have a small seminar, and then we got to do some of this again. So we'll be ready for that on Friday. When we hired Coach Rivera, he talks about setting the culture, changing the culture, and I can see the shift already. That new clientele that's coming in, those new players that are coming in, they're bringing with them a great attitude and they just want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, and we love it. I love the change. Hi guys, my name is Malcolm Blacken. I am the Senior Director of
All right, welcome back. The Redskins Offseason Special presented by the great folks at Bud Light Seltzer. We very much appreciate their support. Larry Michael, D'Angelo Hall, Kay Adams, and Redskin Thomas Davis Sr. And Kay, take it away.
Love having you on the show. Thank you for stopping by. Of course, Thomas Davis, you have been in the league for a decade and a half. There's a lot of adversity. It's a little bit new, even for you with everything going on with COVID-19, not being able to be at the facility. Is it hard for you? And if so, what's the hardest part?
It's definitely hard. You get used to a structure after being in the league so long of, when the offseason hits, you're going to be able to go and start back working out at the facility. As that transitions, you're going to be able to go and start, having your OTA meetings, having your mini camp meetings and being on the field. And now, only thing we're able to do is have Zoom meetings. And now I'm stuck in the house all the time. So it's tough, having to be like that and not have that structure that you're used to.
I thought you were going to say, I'm ready to roll in week one and be okay. I don't need training camp. I don't need anything. That's so interesting. Well, you're reunited now with, of course, Ron Rivera, who we just had on the show. Why is he the best coach to handle this sort of adversity?
I think when you look at Coach Rivera and his coaching style and the fact that he played the game, he understands his players. And I think he does a tremendous job of really relating to us where we at throughout the course of a season. And when you have a coach that can do that, as a player, you want to go out and you want to compete and play and work harder for that coach.
And of course, it's exciting because you get to go in the locker room eventually, at least on Zoom, and see all of this young talent that is on the defensive side. So the defense transitioning, to the 4-3 on the internet, basically. That's how you guys are learning this new defense. How much of a role are you taking? You're still playing at a high level, but are you answering questions? How are you bringing the young guys along?
It's been cool. I think Coach Russ did a great job in our linebacker room of making sure that he kept everybody interactive. Like we had Zoom competition. We had this little Kahoot game that he set up, and we were able to answer questions. And the linebackers, it was a competition. And once you make things competitive, I think that makes everybody in the room better. And that's the mindset that we got to take once we're able to get on the field as a linebacker core. If we want to say that we're going to be one of the best in the league, it all starts with the competition level.
Hey, TD, you spoke about the competition. You were a great player. You still are a great player. But another guy you played alongside was Luke Keith, and just how dominant of a player he was. When I see Chase Young, he has the ability to be that dominant type of player, all-pro player, back-to-back years consecutively. What do you see yourself bringing to the table? Because I firmly believe that young players don't come into this league with the right mindset and work ethic. What can you kind of, some little nuggets you can share with Chase that you wouldn't mind kind of sharing with us, that'll help him get to that kind of level, man, because you know what it takes to be at that level. And you also know, hey, I don't have a lot of football left. I know when I got older, I started trying to pour a little bit more, and I always poured into the young guys. But when you can see that exit, you want to give everything you got to some of those younger guys. What will you be able to, bring and showcase young?
My goal really coming in right now is to do whatever's been asked of me. When it comes to being able to pour back into the younger guys on the team, it's all about impressing upon them the importance of understanding you have to know your playbook, first and foremost. In order to be able to go out and play fast and compete at a high level, you have to understand what you're doing when you're on the field. It doesn't matter where you get drafted at. I fell into that my rookie year when I got drafted in the first round, and I kind of thought, hey, I'm a first round pick, so I'm going to be a starter. I started my first game, didn't start no more until my next year. So that's one of those things you got to do. You got to understand, hey, this is a professional league. This is a business. I got to make sure that I'm on top of my game. Then next, you got to make sure that you understand what the offense is trying to do to you as a defensive player. Those are things that are going to allow you to go out, compete at a high level, play fast. And that's one of the things that I'm going to impress upon these young guys. But even bigger than that is practice habits. I feel like the game can be won or lost in practice. And that's one thing Coach Rivera preached to us when we were in Carolina. You go out, you practice, you compete hard, and he tell us, hey, practice is going to be hard on the defense always. I don't care what the situation is, he's going to make it harder on the defense because he wants us to be that group that's on the field to finish the game at any point and have that confidence to know that we're going to get the job done.
Tell you what, sounds like the Redskins have a coach on the field in Thomas Davis Sr., that's for sure. Man, I'm ready to go. Thomas, thank you for joining us. And I guess we're going to see you when you get to Redskins Park at the end of July. We hope that's the case. And thanks again for being part of the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to getting on there.
Good luck.
Redskins linebacker Thomas Davis Sr. And coming up after a timeout, we're going to step aside for a moment. The great Brian Mitchell will join us on the off-season special presented by Bud Light Seltzer. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. The offseason special presented by Bud Light Seltzer. Larry Michael, great to have Kay Adams from the NFL Network and D'Angelo Hall, and it's great to welcome in, presented by NBC Sports Washington, the one and only B. Mitch Brian Mitchell. And Brian, let's take a look at training camp. Straight up, biggest challenge for the Redskins defense coming to training camp 2020 is what?
I think incorporating everybody together. You know, they have so many pass rushers on this team now. You look at the roster, you think things are going to be great, but you got to find a way to find out which guys you're going to be able to use on a consistent basis, and then make sure you have that rotation of those guys, because everybody can't play all the time. And I think that's the main thing about it. Montez Sweat needs to come up and play. You know, if you're going to have Ryan Anderson playing this year, he has to be consistent with it. Ryan Kerrigan has always been that guy. Everyone is looking at Chase Young, but D. Hall knows, just like I do, this is the NFL. No matter how good you were in college, you have to figure out this pro game to be good at it.
Offensively, the biggest challenge of the team. All the attention is on Dwayne Haskins Jr. Obviously, offensive line does have some question marks here about a month and a couple weeks before camp.
Well, I think that's the whole thing. You know, you can say what you want about Dwayne Haskins and put those questions about him. The people in front of him are going to make his job a lot easier. And if they can't find the right guys to block for him, that will be a problem. But I think ultimately you have a coaching staff now that understands and knows how to get the best out of their players. And it may be somebody that just pop up and play well. I think one thing about DC, we always thinking about names. Names don't win football games. Football players do it. If some guy can happen to step up and fill that left tackle position, which is going to be a huge field, you know, you got to find ways to help out. And I think when Jay was here, he wouldn't help protect the offensive line, wouldn't help chip block. I know that Scott Turner will, because his dad was very good at it. So if you can chip a little bit as a back or a tight end going out, you give that quarterback just a little bit more time to look down the field and find open receivers.
D. Hall, B. Mitch.
Yeah, hey, B. Mitch, you know, another guy that I, want to hear you kind of comment on a little bit is a guy we haven't seen in D.C., a guy named Bryce Love. You think about what Carolina was able to do with Christian McCaffrey and what he did at Stanford. People forget Bryce Love was just as dynamic, if not more, than Christian McCaffrey in college. Obviously, he had the injury, but now, he's starting to get healthy. You think he kind of jumps into this scene of this running back carousel with AP and Geis and the rookie Gibson?
I think if Bryce Love is healthy, he's going to be somebody that's going to have something to say about who plays and who doesn't play. You watch that kid when he was in college. He was, like you said, he was damn good. He could run the football. He catch the ball out the backfield, and he had top-end speed. And I think that's the thing about this football team. You got a lot of young guys that have a lot of promise, but they have to stay consistently healthy to get out there. And if you get those guys, look at it, Gibson, Geis, and Love, that's a hell of a future if you can get those guys healthy.
Appreciate you joining us, B, and we'll see you real soon. And maybe on the golf course, you never know.
Definitely. I'll see you out there, D. Take care, Kay.
Bye. I wanted to ask him how badly he could beat you, D'Angelo Hall. How bad?
Very bad.
I believe in helping my young brothers out, so I'm going to make sure he gets better and better.
You're looking to get in his pocket. I know that. I appreciate being Mitch. Brought to us by NBC Sports Washington. Quick look now at the NFC East as we take a look. And Kay, we talked about it. 3 of the 4 teams in the division have first-year head coaches. Let's focus on the Giants first. Joe Judge is at the controls and second-year quarterback there as well.
Yeah, 3 teams have a new coach, but he's a new coach, Joe Judge. He's never been an NFL coach before, so there's a lot to that that I have questions about. I look at the NFC East from a national lens every morning on Good Morning Football, and if you start with the Giants there, or with the whole division, it really feels like it's a 2-headed race, right? It's the Eagles or the Cowboys. Who's going to take it? But don't count out the Giants. Yes, they've lost some pieces, but they drafted Andrew Thomas, who's going to be there to do his thing in protecting the young quarterback. And they got some wily veterans, Blake Martinez among them, some solid guys that can try to remedy or address the biggest question that I personally have about this Giant squad is, what does the defense look like? It cannot be what it was last year.
They got Jason Garrett as the offensive coordinator. That is going to be very weird, I think, for a lot of people to see him on the sideline. And Philadelphia obviously has a returning coach. He's been there for a long time, Doug Peterson, his 5th year. And this is a team that knows how to win. Yeah,
this is the division favorite, in my opinion, over the Cowboys. If they're healthy, You can't stop them. They won the division when they weren't even healthy completely. So Carson Wentz is a huge question mark. There's already a lot of questions about when the backup's going to start because of injuries and those concerns. But this is the best quarterback in this division, the most proven. I also love Miles Sanders. I think he's going to end up being a top 5 running back, very high on him and his mentality. Got to check in with him a couple of weeks ago and excited about that. And the low-key addition nobody's talking about there is Darius Slay. I've been a broken record on this team on how they're going to address and improve that secondary when you've got guys like CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper facing you all the time, and Scary Terry here in Washington. So I just feel like adding Darius Slay is a huge improvement to that team. They are the most complete.
And Kay, we don't expect you to hate the Cowboys as much as we do. but what do you think about the Cowboys? I mean, obviously we don't know as we're doing this. I didn't see today.
Yeah.
Did Dak sign? Did he sign it? Okay, so he signed the franchise tender, and so he'll be back at a very high number.
Sure. Yeah. $31.4 million for that, and then maybe he'll get paid there or somewhere else. The thing is, I haven't seen this team, which has always been talented up and down the roster, put it together. They always have fallen short of expectations. You also have a new coach there. Is he going to rely on the run game like we've seen him do? Is Dak Prescott Aaron Rodgers? Did Aaron Rodgers make Mr. McCarthy? So there's a lot of questions there. They have so much talent. They've never really been able to put it all together. I'll also say they lost a cornerback who was, I think, the best on their team in Byron Jones. So that's definitely a concern. I'm looking for other teams and offenses in the NFC East to exploit in 2020.
All right, well done. We're going to step aside for just a moment. When we come back, Anto DeBoss, YouTube sensation, going to talk some Madden. Don't go away.
First off, I just want to welcome you guys to the Washington Redskins organization and just let you guys know, hey, if you're not ready right now to make a immediate impact, you might as well go ahead and hang up and pack your stuff and go home now. So we're expecting big things from you guys. So again, I welcome you guys to the Redskins, man, and I'm looking forward to seeing what type of impact you guys are going to make this year, man. We're trying to win a championship, and we don't want you guys just to come in and say, okay, I'm gonna play behind this guy. You can learn from these guys, but your mindset and your mentality is to get on the field and make an impact right now. If you're not thinking of that, you're cheating yourself.
All right, let's get started, man, because we might take the whole hour, maybe not. But today is a special day because I think we got one of the best speakers from the league office who's going to talk to y'all about a very important policy. Because we all have to march to a different drum now and carry ourselves in a certain way. But right now, we're going to pay attention to Mr. Todd Jones from the NFL office, conduct policy. He's another one, guys. You don't never want to see him again after the day. Just letting you know. But he's a good man.
Hey, thank you, Malcolm. This is strange in a number of different ways because of the strange times that we're living in here, gents. But I'd like to spend 20, 30 minutes with you today talking about league policies, in particular the personal conduct policy, all of which are grounded in our NFL values. The first and foremost is integrity, resiliency, respect, and responsibility to the team. This is the highest level of football that there is in the world, and you all got to be ready. You got to be ready to go whenever they green light you to get back into the facility and do your thing.
Well, Mr. Jones, we thank you. You're a tremendous resource for these young men.
Anytime, Malcolm, anytime.
A year and a half ago, I was doing this job by myself. And not that I couldn't handle it, but I told the team president at the time, I said, man, I need some help. This past year, they came to me and said, man, we're gonna get a vet on your staff. And next thing I know, Doug Williams is coming down the hallway. But for him to be a part of my program now, I'm just thrilled to death, because the accolades about this man: first African-American to start a Super Bowl, first one to win it, first MVP, 4 touchdowns in 1 quarter, all that, and I literally, and I'm Doug, I'm sorry I got to pump your tires, but I'm working with a living legend every day, man, and it's kind of cool. But Doug, kick some knowledge to these boys, man.
I was thinking about college when I first entered college, a long time ago, probably about 46 years ago. My college coach, Eddie Roberts, one of the greatest coach of all time. When I got to campus and the first meeting we had, the first thing he told us was,
All right, we're back. The
every
Redskins
man.
Offseason Special presented by Bud Light Seltzer. Larry Michael, Kay Adams from NFL Network, the playmaker D'Angelo Hall, and want to welcome in Anto DeBoss. He is a YouTube sensation. I had a chance to meet Anto last year in the broadcast booth. He's a huge Redskins fan. Tell us what you do, Anto, because you are happening. How did you get so many followers, and how do you do your videos? Explain to us how you do it.
I appreciate you. First of all, I just want to say, this team means a lot to me. So just to be here with you guys, it means a lot to me. So, I'm Anto. I've been doing YouTube for I would say the past 10 years. I do video game videos, anything from sports games. You're going to see a lot of Madden on my channel. Obviously people know me as a huge Redskins fan. I've gone to so many games, and when I go to games, I vlog it. I don't know if people are familiar with vlogging, but basically you just go to the game and record your experience. So I've done a lot of that. I've met a lot of cool Redskins fans there, and yeah, that's basically what I do.
Katie, you have a question for Anto?
Did you go to the Super Bowl this past year? I think you were in Miami. What was that experience like? Who's the NFL player you met? And who's the dream Redskin that you would love to play Madden with?
I did go to the Super Bowl. It was amazing. I got to do I played against Russell Wilson in Miami before the Super Bowl game, and I used the Redskins, and he used the Seahawks, and I beat him. So all the Redskins fans watching, you know what I'm saying? I got payback on for us. Yeah, I beat Russell with the Redskins, so that felt good. I would say for the Redskins, I would definitely want to play Santana Moss. He was one of my favorite players growing up. Him. I was always a big fan of Clinton Portis, the guys from the U. Obviously, Sean Taylor, you guys see the background, huge fan of him. As far as guys on the team, I would love to play Geist. That would be dope. Mm-hmm. I know he plays a lot of Madden, so I'm calling him out right now if he's watching this.
I don't know if you want that smoke. Guy's nice.
Yeah, I know. We follow each other. I know he plays a lot of. I know he does Twitch and stuff. So we haven't played yet, but
there's guys. If you watching, I'm setting that up.
Yeah, I'm challenging you right now.
My basement is going live, y'all.
In your basement, yeah. Okay, everybody hear that. Okay.
And so there's big things ahead with you and the Redskins. I know that. So we appreciate you being part of this show. Look forward to seeing you on many, many shows this coming season. Thanks, man.
Of course, man. Hey, you guys have a good one. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Congrats on the
Appreciate
success.
you very much.
Thank you. You too. Take care, guys.
The one and only Anto DeBoss, and we're going to hear a lot from him in the coming weeks. And you know what? We're going to hear from Kendall Fuller in a minute. Don't go away. Defensive back for the Redskins from Good Counsel High School right up the street. He's going to join us in a minute. We'll be right back. We are back. The Redskins Offseason Special presented by the great folks at Bud Light Seltzer at Redskins Park. Larry Michael and DeAngelo Hall. Also joined by Kay Adams of NFL Network. And fresh off the golf course again after his 100th straight round of golf, Kendall Fuller. I hope he is with us. And D-Hall, I know you want to schmooze with Kendall a little bit, so take it away.
Yeah, I know Kendall on that golf course. He's better than me right now, but we're going to figure that out later. But I'm excited, Kendall, to have you back in the folds, man. Tell us how excited you are to be back with the great people.
I've been excited, man. Every time I get in town, go see my parents, go see my mother, it almost like surprises me. Like, dang, I'm really back with the Redskins, like playing at home. I'm looking forward to it, dog. Just being in the Zoom calls with all the guys, with the coaches, just learning the defense. It's getting to that point in the offseason now where we just ready to get back in the building.
Now, tell me, how great does it feel to leave on a rookie contract, go get a Super Bowl ring, come back and get paid?
I know it's a crazy story, dog. Especially looking back, especially the night of the trade, things like that. But
because I was pissed. Let me be real. I don't mean to cut you off. I was pissed. I was calling your brother, calling you. I was pissed. So they did rectify it. That's why I'm in the building. Because if they'd never brought you back, I'd have never came back in the building, Larry.
It was. I don't know if I told anybody this though, but the day I left, I forgot who said it to me, but one of the guys in the front office said to me, he was like, "When you hit free agency, we bring you back." And at the time, I'm sitting there like, "Man, y'all just traded me. I ain't trying to hear none of that." But it's crazy to think about that now, because the day I left the facility, they said, "We bring you back in free agency."
Do you have a question for Kendall?
I don't know what you're bringing back. I mean, you have the ring. We just talked about it. You picked off Garoppolo in the Super Bowl. That was a moment that no one will ever forget. So what new perspective and skills are you bringing to your already versatile skill set in your second time here with the Redskins?
Just so much knowledge, man. When you get around a different group of guys, a different group of coaches, it's so much in the game of football that you can learn, because everybody sees it from a different point of view, from a different eye. Being around good leaders like Eric Berry and Tyrann Mathieu. So just being around a group of so many different guys, seeing their strengths, their weaknesses, and then just being in Kansas City where week in and week out, you're playing in big games. You go in the playoffs 2 years in a row, get that experience of an AFC championship and a Super Bowl and things like that. So just knowing the mindset that you got to go into those type of season and those type of games, it's, that's what I want to, help us do in Washington.
Hey, Kendall, now, how different of a mindset will it be coming into this season? You spoke about it a little bit being in Kansas City. I've never really had the luxury of being on a team that offense is going to put 40, 30, score a lot of points, I should say. I remember reaching out to yourself during the season, Rashad Breeland, Preston Smith, who's in Green Bay. Like, bro, you're playing with Aaron Rodgers. You were playing with Pat Mahomes. What can you what little nuggets can you give Dwayne Haskins, or even give your guys on defense to help elevate? Because obviously we know iron sharpens iron. The better y'all on defense, whether y'all whipping up on them or not, the better ultimately you'll be come season time. What little nuggets will you be able to bring to this team now that you're a vet now, dude? You're not a young dude.
I know.
Super Bowl champion vet.
Yeah. I think the way, especially when you watch a guy like Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid and just that offensive group, just the way they handle themselves on a daily basis. The type of preparation, the film study that they put in. You see those guys doing extra walkthroughs. Even I know for us, defensively when we was in Kansas City, our coach had us out 10 minutes early before practice every day. Those first couple of weeks, especially. We sitting there like, coach, like, let me get ready for practice. Like, I'm not really trying to do these walkthroughs, but you get to a point where that's just the routine. That's just what we do. That's how we do things. And those little extra sessions help guys so much. And once we get onto the field, man, it was so competitive. We were going at each other's throats, talking trash. I remember always going back and forth with Pat, talking trash to him, talking trash to Coach Reid, while at that same time learning from each other. It wasn't offense, y'all do y'all, defense, y'all do y'all. It's now we're gonna compete, we're gonna talk trash, and then the next play I'm gonna come to you like, hey, what was you looking at? Like, exactly. What did I do for you to throw it here instead of not here? So just those little things that we got to do on a daily basis.
Did D-Hall help you learn how to talk trash at the NFL level?
Man, I heard D Hall talking trash since V Tech days.
Yeah.
V Tech days. I remember my brother Vinny. He used to pull us up from out of the stands after games, take us to the locker room, and you hear all them boys talking trash. So I've been hearing D Hall for a minute.
Hey, man, look forward to seeing you here at Redskins Park. I guess we'll be soon enough, so thank you for joining the show tonight.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all.
He froze. Kendall froze. Kendall was freezing before we started, D-Hall.
For that
Now
golf,
he
D-Hall.
froze here. All right. Before we wrap up, final thoughts from Jay as well as D-Hall. A couple reminders. As an official partner of the Washington Redskins, RTS is connecting FedEx Field with smarter waste solutions to ensure a more sustainable and responsible approach to what's left behind at the end of the game. RTS, a better waste company, find out more at rts.com. And we'd like to give special thanks to Innova, the official health system of the Washington Redskins. We are grateful for your amazing team of frontline heroes, for their hard work and dedication. Thank you for all of your tireless efforts to keep our community safe and cared for during this difficult time. Innova. Wrapping it up here, the Redskins Offseason Special presented by Bud Light Seltzer. We have an abbreviated version of something we hope to hear during the regular season, the playmaker's perspective. So, D, your head's down for 5 minutes. You're down to 1 minute now. Okay? So the Redskins defense with Kendall Fuller on board, what is your outlook on the Redskins defense? We know the talent. I thought the talent last year was better than the stats indicated, but you are what the stats say you are. The Redskins didn't win a lot of games. What about this year's Redskins defense?
I mean, some up and downs last season. I think we all expected the Redskins defense to dominate, and they did early on in the season, but you could tell they got a little wore down. Now you have a Redskins defense who has some depth, especially up front when you talk about being able to rotate those guys in. But you heard B. Mitch say it. The biggest thing that I think the Redskins are going to have to deal with is it's the egos. It's hey, if I'm not getting enough playing time, because they have so many talented players. And so my thing is not pour into the team. It's about the team. It is about the team. I didn't understand that early in my career. I figured it out later in my career. I want to challenge Thomas Davis, Kendall Fuller. You heard him say how, they fed off each other. That's what they need to do. They need to come out here with a common goal. This team has exactly what they need to compete. And I'm excited to see Coach Rivera and the rest of this coaching staff get these guys ready to go.
Okay, we converted Peter Schrager a few months ago. Now, hopefully, we've converted you over to the burgundy and gold as well. How excited are you?
I didn't get the number that he did. I'm excited. The frontier is as good as anyone in the league. The goal is to be the Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware type. I was so happy to D'Angelo Hall, to your point, to hear Ryan Kerrigan say that he's embracing his veteran role, that he's embracing the fact that he might not get as much playing time, and he's pouring it into the younger players to give everybody the best chance to succeed. I'll say this. The Jags and the Bears went from worst to first. The 49ers in 2018 weren't talked about. They weren't doing anything. They went to the Super Bowl last year. The Rams changed their coach, added a new guy, same quarterback. Jared Goff statistically looks very similar to what Dwayne Haskins did if you extrapolate it in his rookie year. If you change these key things like your coach and start at the top, I wouldn't be surprised if this team made waves this year in 2020. So I will say that. And of course, I'm rooting for you guys. My guy, D'Angelo Hall, he asks everybody to golf but me. How do you know that I'm not the best golfer ever?
Because you never mentioned golf, Kay, but let's play.
Because you're too busy mentioning it for everybody all the time.
Well, thank you to D'Angelo Hall. Thank you to Kay Adams. And thank you for tuning in tonight. The Redskins Offseason Special presented by Bud Light Seltzer. Thanks again. We'll see you at training camp. Hail to the Redskins. Yes, sir.